All right, guys. Welcome. This is Mike from Digital Offensive, and today we're going to do a live Q&A for my path to OSCP. I'm starting about a minute early, so we'll give time for some more people to join us. Hopefully the stream is working. If you guys can see this, let me know. Post it over in the chat just so I know the stream's working. I'm running off of 2 monitors right now to try to manage the stream and make sure everything's running smoothly. And according to one screen, it is streaming. According to the other one, it's still loading. So, excellent. All right, perfect. Excellent. Hi, Mason. Aren't you supposed to be going to bed soon? All right. Perfect. So, throughout tonight, I'm aiming for about an hour. If the conversation's good, we'll keep it going a little bit longer. Try to get all your questions answered. I do ask that as we're doing this stream tonight, that we keep the stream professional. We cannot divulge any answers to the test, any answers to the actual labs. Same rules that we kind of apply over at the OSCP study group over on Facebook. If you found this stream and you're not a member of that group, head over to the Facebook group, join us there. We have a lot of great conversations over there. We do a lot of information sharing there generally. So one other thing I'm going to do tonight too is after the stream, I'm going to give away a sticker that we had created for a recent event we did. Basically a little joke. I'm from the red team and with the red team crossed out, aka I'm from tech support, kind of basically trying to get in through the door, just a little laugh. And what I'll do to give away the sticker is I'll select a comment. Anyone that basically asks a question tonight will be entered in to win one of the stickers. And then I'll send out the sticker to you guys. All right, so feel free to post in the chat any questions you have. I'm going to start off with the top 3 questions I get a lot from everyone. And as more questions come into the chat, I'll address those questions as well. If it looks like I'm looking at my little monitor, that's where I have the chat running right now, so I can actually read the questions off and respond to you guys. So the first question I get almost on a daily basis is around how to secure your VM, how to protect your host and the rest of your network from your virtual environment. And to be honest, I don't fully worry about that too much when I'm using the OSCP or when I'm doing Hack the Box. And the reason I say that is there's a lot of protection already put in place in those VPNs to really stop people from being able to connect directly to you. Now, that doesn't stop them from compromising one of the lab machines and then basically telling back to you. But one of the things I like to do there is I create firewall policies on my virtual machines that basically blocks my personal home network away from my virtual network. So my virtual machine only really needs to be able to talk through that VPN tunnel out. That tunnel is basically set up there and all my traffic from my VM is tunneling through that VM, through that tunnel out to the internet through that tunnel. So there should really be no traffic from that virtual machine to my host, to any of my other network. Now, you're probably thinking, hey, Mike, what happens if someone compromises your machine, they get root access, and they drop your IP tables, right? That's a very good point. Using Kali Linux, some other things I do on my Kali Linux is, one, I keep it pretty updated. I know that's really tricky to do with OSCP because you can break things as you run updates. I'm very selective about what updates I do install. Some of the updates I install are pretty much around the services, making sure Apache is up to date, my FTP servers, my SSH. Anything that I'm going to leave running on my machine that can be vulnerable to attack vectors from someone else, I make sure it is updated on my machine. I also really try to avoid clicking on any links within that environment that could basically target my machine for attack. Whenever I'm not using any of my services, I shut down my services. So all my services get shut off when I'm not using them. I'm a big user of using Apache to deliver my payloads through wget, curl, and any other tools you use, bitadmin, certutil, things like that to deliver my payloads to my victim machines. So I like to have Apache running a lot, but I'm only using it when I'm delivering my payloads. Any other times I'm shutting down my Apache, I'm shutting down my SSH, I'm keeping those services locked down to keep it secure. Another thing I do too is I run a IPS IDS on my host as well as on my network itself. So I can basically tell if I start seeing malicious traffic, start targeting my host machines, and I can basically quickly lock that down and shut things off. And you don't have to get as fancy as that. You can start using tools like, if you're a Windows shop, I use Mac myself, so I don't really dabble with Windows anymore. I kind of gave up on that a couple months back. Actually, probably a year ago now, too. All right. So basically what I've been doing there is using like Malwarebytes or other AV tools to monitor my traffic at the local host level. By the network layer, I'm using tools like Bro, Snort, basically using virtual machines to spin them up on my network just to monitor traffic. My router also has the capability, has a built-in AV client as well to help monitor stuff. So that's all the things you can look at other than just locking down your host and your virtual machines. The biggest thing is keeping your virtual machine services updated, turn them off when you don't need them, and make sure you're using a secure password. And then just practicing safe usage of your virtual machines. If you're using that machine elsewhere, then you may run into other problems. But the OSCP tries to help you out as best as they can to avoid attacks against you. So, yeah, and actually, Paul mentioned something really good too in the chat too, is the Python-n, basically spin up a simple HTTP server. The one thing I don't like about that is there are some attacks that don't deliver the payload properly using that. So if you find out that if you're doing an attack, and there's definitely some lab machines where you'll notice this on, is if you're doing this attack and the Python web server is not delivering your payload properly or your payload is not executing, try going back to Apache. There's tons of forum posts where people are pulling their hair out where things aren't working because they're trying to use that method, and as soon as they move back to Apache, it works instantly. I do like that method. I do get lazy at times. I don't feel like copying things to my directories, so I quickly just run that command and get things up and running. All right. The second question I get a lot too is, where do you start, right? That is a very loaded question. We all come from different backgrounds. I would be of the opinion, and with this opinion, I'm definitely wrong, but I would assume that if you're in the OSCP study group, if you're actually getting ready to take the OSCP, that you have a pretty solid background. Now, I know that's not the case. We see people on the OSCP study group all the time telling us, hey, I just got my CH, or I am doing blue team work, or I just got out of school. Am I ready to take the OSCP? And as I said, that's a loaded question. You really got to ask yourself how comfortable you are with doing additional research. What's your learning style? Are you able to read something, and then does that motivate you enough to go out and learn more about it? When you receive your courseware book, it's about 300 plus pages. I printed it out. I am a physical reader. I have to have the material in my hand to really grasp the concepts and take it in. It's great to keep an electronic copy of that because you can copy and paste code from that into your terminals and things like that. But as far as reading goes, I need to have a physical copy in my hands. As you read that book, you're going to learn a lot of stuff. It's going to give you the high-level concepts of what you want to be doing. And then from there, you need to do some additional research to see how you expand upon that. And as you're expanding upon that, that's giving you more information. Now, a lot of people also tell us, hey, by the way, I do Hack the Box, or I do VulnHub, or I do Pentest Labs, and so on and so forth. Those are all great learning experiences. And I think one of the things that helped me this time around to pass OSCP was really taking time in VulnHub and Hack the Box. Now, when I say you're using those tools to learn, you also have to ask yourself, how many times are you running to the forums asking for help? How many hints are you looking for? How many times are you just reading through the forums until something clicks? If you're constantly doing that, you're not ready yet to be doing the OSCP. If you're finding that you're compromising more boxes yourself by doing external research or just knowing the material, that's when you're starting to feel more confident in your skills, and you're probably ready to start looking at the path to OSCP. The OSCP is not just once and done, right? Well, once you pass the test, you're done. It's a 30-day, a 6-day, or a 90-day lab time. And I strongly suggest anyone that's looking at doing this, the first time around is to at least go with the 90-day labs. The 90-day labs is the best bang for your buck. If you look long term, the cost of a renewal, if you decide to extend it, plus the cost that you already paid, 90 days is the best bang for your buck. $1,200 will get you 90 days of lab access plus 1 exam certification attempt. Even if you're not ready for your exam certification attempt at the end of 90 days, I strongly suggest you still book it. Why? Another exam certification attempt is only $60. $60 is not a lot of money when you talk about exams. I'll give you a perfect example of this. I'm currently studying for my GX Pen. If I happen not to pass my GX Pen, that is an additional $600 I gotta spend to retake the GX Pen, where the OSCP was $60. I spent $600 in the OSCP to renew my 90-day labs, which is way cheaper than 1 exam attempt at the GX Pen. Once you get that information done, I also strongly suggest building your background. If you're not from a pen testing background and you really haven't done any application testing or worked in a company where you've done pen testing, while Georgia Weedman's book, penetration testing book, is a bit outdated, this is the book here, I strongly suggest getting this book for 2 main reasons. One, the OCP is outdated as well, right? We all know that. There was a big thing going around about it. The technology in the exam is kind of outdated, but the theory is solid across. No matter where you go, it's the same theory. The same concepts are going to apply to all your testing that you're going to do. When I say something's outdated, you're going to be looking at older services, outdated sites, things like that. And we still run into that in our industry. But this book really lays out a good foundation for pen testing. It takes you from a noob status and walks you through every single step of the process to the very end of actual exploitation and report writing. So while it's outdated, it's definitely worth reading and going through it. Yes, and actually, Jared, sorry if I'm pronouncing the name wrong, she has a course on Cybery as well called Advanced Pen Testing. It's basically almost right from the book, and it's free to take. There's no cost involved in that, and you can go over to Cybery, sign up, and take that course. Really worth doing. Oh, all right, excellent, Jared. Perfect. Also, if you're looking at taking additional courses, while I'm not a huge fan of Joe McRae's classes from InfoSec Addicts, just because they seem to always get rescheduled or canceled or moved or some other excuse, for the cost versus the quality, it may be something else you want to check out. They used to offer a limited monthly lab cost. I think it was like $60 a month, maybe $40 a month, something like that. You can take as many classes of his as you wanted for that cost. Something else worth checking out if you guys are interested in doing that. Yes, as Jared mentions, Georgia is working on a 2nd edition. It'll probably be some time before that comes out. I know she's struggling a little bit to get things going there. She does have her startup and everything else that's going on as well. So books take time, work takes time. So that kind of wraps up the second question I get a lot. What is the third one that I had listed here? Let me jump over to my YouTube comments. I had some people post them over here too. But if you guys have any questions while I'm looking for this third one, let me know. Post them over there in the chat. And we want to look over here. All right. So if you guys haven't checked this out yet, either I usually post some stuff over in the community posts, asking polls, questions there, try to get you guys engaged. Feel free to respond to my polls if I ever post one. I try to collect information just to really understand topics and things to present on. Let's see here. One of the questions over here on the YouTube community page is around what's the difference between the lab. Is the lab harder than the exam itself? I will say the labs are probably a little bit harder than the exam for one main reason, right? The labs, you have multiple days to complete them, right? You're going to have some labs that are going to be super simple. and one thing I tell everyone to do, right, is to make sure that you read your book first. If you take that course material and you read through that and you do all those exercises, there's like, what, 17 sections of that book. I think only 2 of them you don't have to do exercises for. But if you go through all those exercises, I guarantee that by the time you get halfway through that book, you probably already have 5 or 6 boxes compromised. Those exercises will tie you directly into stuff within the lab itself that will help you understand the process. And that's why the lab's there. So basically, you're going to read that book, you're going to carry out the exercise, and you're going to find your targets. Now, you won't know which targets are vulnerable until you actually do the exercises or until you just jump in the lab and hack away. All depends how you learn, right? So as you go through that process, you're definitely going to find boxes. The labs, I would say, is a little bit hard because you have more time to accomplish the labs, depending on how many days you booked, right? Now, as I said, there were some boxes that took me 2 minutes, and there were some boxes that took me 2 weeks. When all said and done with my lab time, and this is after 210 days in the lab. So I've done 210 days in the lab. I did initial 90 days in 2017, followed by 30 days because I had a huge gap between my end of my lab and my exam. And then another 90 days now, starting slightly before Christmas, up to my recent pass of the exam. So altogether, 210 days, I've completed every single box in the public network with the exception of root on Ghost. So throughout the time, I accomplished all that. Plus, I got almost all the other boxes in the other networks as well. So it all depends on the amount of time you have to get through it. So that's why I think the labs are a little bit harder than the exam because you only have 24 hours in the exam. Oh, Chris, sorry to hear that. Hopefully you get it past the next time around. Shay writes, what's next? Shay, right now, the next thing I'm working on is my GX pen. I kind of shot myself in the foot preparing for the GX pen, or preparing for the OSCP. I kind of took the GX pen in conjunction with the took the OSCP in conjunction with the GX pen to try to add a value to the OSCP, try to make it a little bit easier for myself. Unfortunately, the GX pen is not really tied to the OCP at all. The OCP is like, the GX pen is like the OSCE, except maybe a little bit easier than the OSCE from what I've heard. First 3 days of the GX pen were kind of around network attacks, bypasses. The remainder 2 days were all around buffer overflows, exploitation, custom creations of your exploit code, bypassing ASR, writing ROP, and things like that for Windows. Very advanced stuff, really hard to do. Let's see what else here. So what's next? Yeah, so that covers that question. Chris, thanks again. Terry, how well would eLearn Security PTP course prepare you for the OCP exam? I am not familiar with the PTP course, eLearn Security. Unfortunately, I am not aware of that, so I can't really give information on that. I've heard a lot of people talk a lot of good stuff about that certification in preparation for the exam. I did not do anything with that certification to really give you any feedback on that, so I apologize for that. Paul posted a great link for buffer over practice. BrainPan 1 is really good for BO practice. Yes, so anyone that has not seen BrainPan on VulnHub, you need to check out BrainPan. I don't want to spoil anything, but I do have a video out there for BrainPan. If you look at BrainPan video 3, I did it in 3 parts: the user, the buffer, and then the exploitation to get to root. That second and third video, I basically, to do that buffer overflow, I basically took the material from the OCP, from the courseware, and I basically applied it to that example to get through that. That was great practice. It allowed me to fully understand what I was learning in the book, not only practicing on the actual lab environment, but also to practice on another machine outside of that lab. Now, I'll throw another caveat out there too. Anyone doing any buffer overflow development testing outside of a pre-built VM, make sure that if you're running Linux, you need to do several things. One, you're going to have to disable ASLR on your kernel when you compile it. And 2, when you're compiling using GCC, you need to turn off stack protection. If you don't do those two things, you're not going to be able to successfully exploit those buffers, because the newer kernels, the newer machines are basically putting controls in place to stop the exploitation in the first place. So to build these exercises is a little bit harder nowadays. Let's see here. Anyone that's posting links, I apologize. I have to go through and approve them. Let's see here. What was the book you were referring to earlier, please? The book I was referring to earlier is Penetration Testing. It's by Georgia Weeman. Hands-on Introduction to Hacking. And it's spot on. Seriously, it kind of goes hand in hand with the course material. As I said, it's a little outdated from what people say, but it really does line up with the course material really well. If you're looking at buying this, if you guys head over to my Amazon link in the description, you can grab the book. It fluctuates on Amazon anywhere from, I've seen it as low as $20 and I've seen it as high as like $40 on Amazon. I know Georgia personally, so last time I saw her, I had an assignment book for me, so that's pretty cool. Let's see, what things do you find critical to have down for the OSCP besides enumeration is key currently in the lab at the moment? Jared, for the lab, definitely, if you have not taken the time to sit down and read the course material, I can't stress that enough. The first time around, I did a half-ass. I didn't read the course material fully. I kind of had that outlook of, hey, I'm going to go and just hack everything, and I think it burned me there doing that. I can say with 99% certainty, every single chapter in that book ties to a machine in the public network. If you take the time and go through that, you're going to learn everything you need to pass this exam. It just lays itself out perfectly. I kind of wish I would have done it the first time. And the only downside of me doing that first time, we probably wouldn't be here right now talking. And then, of course, yeah, the enumeration, you can't go wrong with enumeration. I would question any enumeration you're doing, too. I had a couple of examples where I was enumerating some assets in the lab, and I was getting these readings back from them, and I was like, this is not right. Something's wrong about that, so I decided to enumerate that finding a little bit further, and that kind of led me to another path, which was basically the correct path to go for that route. A great tool that if you guys haven't checked out yet, PSpy, PSpy, 32 or 64. If you go out to GitHub, you can find a link to those. They are statically compiled binaries for Linux machines that you don't need to be root to run. They will run, and they will check out every single process that gets kicked off. So cron jobs, at commands, scheduled tasks, users executing commands. Anytime something new launches, it'll tell you who the user is that's launching it and what the path is. So that was very helpful on some boxes. Not so much in the labs, or maybe not so much on the exam, but in the labs as well as Hack the Box. Great tool to check out if you have not seen that yet for your enumeration. Yes, Jared, if you do all the exercises, compromise 10 lab boxes, and write a report with all the exercises and those labs, they give you 5 points. And it has to be a decent write-up, right? Like, they do have a list of what criteria you have to meet to get those 5 points. PSpy, basically, Process Spy, out on GitHub. All right. How much the exam costs for the OSCP? The exam itself is $60 for a retake. Each lab gets one free exam take. All right. What else we got here? I ran in guns blazing and burned myself out. Yes, that will happen. My first time through the exam, through the course material, I had... So I have a family of, let's see, it's me, my wife, and I have 3 kids. So it gets really tricky when you're trying to study and work a full-time job as well. to get through this because it's such a time-consuming process. I see people that are able to get through stuff within a day or two, and that take me a week plus to get done because I didn't have all that time available to spend throughout the day. So what I was doing the first time around is I would get the kids in bed around 9:30, 10 o'clock, and then I would stay up until 1, 2 o'clock in the morning working on the labs, and then I would go to bed and basically rinse and repeat for those 3 months I was doing the labs. It was really stressful. It caused a lot of problems. So this time around, I actually lucked out. My current job is great. I work for a very great company. They're very helpful when it comes to education, and they allowed me time during my workday when my tasks, like once all my tasks were done, I was able to focus on OSCP. So I was able to get through stuff. Dark level, how many days you train yourself? Not 100% sure on the question, but I have a lot of work experience in this field. I've been doing information security now for probably 15 plus years. For the last, actually it's probably longer than 15 years now, because the last 12 years I've been doing pen testing or security testing of some sort, which really gave me a lot of insight into what I needed to know. But I never feel fully confident that I know everything, right? Information security is tricky because there's so many different fields, so many different technologies, so many different applications out there. It's really hard to know it all, right? There's people out there that say like they're like they know everything, but they master nothing. That's kind of like how I feel some days. Right now, my main position, I really focus on a lot of web applications, network security testing, red teaming, and things of that nature. So if you brought me in to do a task for mobile, my skills may not be as sharp as they used to be because I don't really get to do mobile a lot anymore where I used to do a lot. It's really a matter of just getting yourself, training yourself, applying yourself, giving yourself that time. I do a lot of books on tape. Why I love having these books. For me to have time to read this book, I need to be able to sit at my desk and read it. Where a book on tape, I can throw in my ears, and I can go to the gym, work out, and listen to it. How do you compare Hack-the-Box and OCP Labs? So, Hack-the-Box and OCP Labs. So, the OCP Labs are real-world labs in the sense they're not very CTF-ish. And that's the one thing I hate about Hack-the-Box is there's a lot of stuff in Hack-the-Box that was very CTF-ish. Olympus was ridiculous like that. And there were several other boxes. Tartar Source, whatever it's called, was very CTF-ish. There was a lot of boxes of that nature in Hack-the-Box that drove me bonkers because it's not something you would see in the real world. So when I'm going through them, I'm thinking to myself, oh, that's not possible. So in the OCP labs, they're tied more to a real-world type environment, with the exception of one box, well, two boxes. You're going to see some CTF-ish stuff on. I don't want to give any of that stuff away because once you're in the lab, you'll notice it. Yeah. Hey, Tyler Jones, I posted your Twitter at the top there. So if anyone joined the feed, make sure you check out Tyler Jones's Twitter feed, Malware Jedi. He likes to give me some support, and he talks a lot about malware analysis and forensics, along with some other stuff. Let's see here. Jared, another on enumeration. How to enumerate faster. When you come across a box that has about 7, 8, 9 services, running it takes a while to enumerate each service before I start looking for bones. So, enumerating faster, right? It becomes, as you do this more and more, rabbit holes are going to pop out. You're going to know which one's a rabbit hole right off the bat, and you're going to kind of know to kind of jump over that. But before you get to that point, you can look at tools such as Auto Recon. I used that during the OCP. It was a great tool. You got to be careful how it's configured. You can configure it to become almost like a vulnerability scanner, which basically breaks the rules. But the Auto Recon allows you to quickly identify all the services and then enumerate all those services. So then you can quickly go through and read through them and then look for keywords. version numbers, certain paths that don't seem right. Definitely version numbers, because you can quickly go out to exploit DB, Apache version, blah, 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 enter. Is there a vulnerability for that? Or CMS version, blah, 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 is there a vulnerability for that? And then that can lead you to a quicker exploitation path. I tried to use Sparta. I'd say about 6 months ago, I tried to use Sparta. Hated it. I hate tools that have like a Java built-in background. I believe that's what Sparta was for their GUI client. I don't remember directly, so correct me if I'm wrong, but it was horrific for me to use. I wanted to love it. I couldn't love it. So I apologize. What's the reason I got my OSCP? At first, it was basically for job placements. Now it was more for a challenge. I love learning. I'm constantly trying to find my next challenge. Hence why I did the GX pen, which I don't know why the heck I decided to do that now. But it definitely ties into my job as well. The OSCP can definitely open up a lot of paths for you. Now, why I say the OSCP can open up a lot of paths for you, I want to put a caveat to that, right? I've seen people go from 0 to hero on the OSCP. People that post in our OSCP study group that have no clue about information security somehow magically pass that exam. So I question their ethics on that they were able to get through it. But what I like to think everyone acts professionally, right? That's one thing we say in our job. Treat everyone professionally, believe that they're doing the right thing, and then later on, figure it out. I do a lot of interviewing. Actually, right now, if any of you guys are in the U.S., you have to be a U.S. citizen, 5 years or more experience with web application security testing. Shoot me an email with your resume. We are hiring. I need to find someone for my team. So if you guys do have web application security testing, please let me know. But as I'm interviewing people and they have OSCP in their, on their resume, I start formulating questions that you should easily be able to answer. And if you can't answer those questions, I question the validity of your OSCP and any other experience you have on your resume. So it definitely opens up doors. All right, so let's see what else there is. I just see people talking to enumerate all machines of the exam while you're trying to compromise a single host altogether. Paulo Hennings, what I would suggest doing on the exam, or anywhere in general, right? If let's say you have a limited amount of time and you need to get enumerating, I would find the one machine, and what I decided to do on the exam, and what I did the first time on the exam too, is I attacked the buffer overflow first. While I'm working on the buffer overflow, I basically ran all my other enumeration scans. So during that hour to 2 hours I spent doing the buffer overflow, all my scans were running and getting completed. So as soon as I was done with that, I quickly went to my enumeration data and started my exploitation based off that data. Let's see here. Should I need to worry about this? I mean, I'm afraid to lose my focus if I try to scan. Yes, you make sure that if you are scanning many hosts, that you are taking great notes. I used Cherry Tree this time around. I copied all my data into a template I created. At the top, I had the host name, the IP address. I then listed all the interesting ports. And then I had any notes based on those ports. And under that, I had all the steps it took me to get to user, all the steps it took me to get to root, and all the proofs as well. Make sure you document everything as you go, and make sure you're saving as often as possible. I would even go as far as setting up a Google Drive or something else to automatically update your data off your Kali box to a cloud solution, or even to your host in case your Kali gets corrupted or goes offline. In your enumeration on the exam, how much scripting versus manual? I plan to do a lot more manual enumeration than I did. I would say that auto recon really took the whole level of anything you would do nmap-wise, the auto recon did for me. Now, what auto recon did not do for me, which I strongly suggest that you guys look at doing, is any web service you find, run GoBuster, run I want to say run Derby, but I found Derby not to be as good as GoBuster. And now I hear from different people, it depends on word lists and things like that. My favorite word list to use in enumeration for web services has been that GoBuster Directory Medium 2.3 something list. Now, with that list, I strongly suggest, I mentioned this in several other videos too, is you need to make 2 changes to that list. First change is delete manual, and second change is delete manuals. Why did I say do this? Have you ever scanned an Apache host and all of a sudden you've gone into like this never-ending loop of every single README file and every single language file? That's because of all the manuals on that Apache server and the default install. Now, I've seen competitions where they basically have a default Apache, and somewhere hidden in that default Apache is what you want, but they're basically putting you into a tar pit of scanning every single manual file as you're going through that. So update that list, remove those 2 things, and then use something like GoBuster to do that. Let's see here, congrats. Tyler's home, congrats. After failing first attempt, will all the boxes be different for the next attempt? I would always assume that each attempt you take of the exam, your boxes would be different. And the reason I'll say that is, from what I understand, and I don't know this for a fact or not, this is just rumors I read online, is that there's at least 5 versions of the exam, and each time it should circle out. Now, unfortunately, or fortunately, however we want to look at this, is that guy that leaked all the exams, he leaked every single exam that I had. Every single question I had on my exam, he leaked. So I knew I was not getting any repeat questions on my exam because he already leaked all the answers. So I went in with a fresh, clean exam. Dark level, are you already in cybersecurity? Yes, I've been in cybersecurity now for over 15 plus years. I've done everything from operations of doing firewall, IPS, IDS management, incident response, a little bit of blue teaming, managing several security teams and services for security scanning, vulnerability scanning, risk assessments, penetration testing, red teaming. I've done a huge gambit of it over the last several years. Paul posts, I plan on adding a lot of OSCP content over the next few weeks. Definitely go check out Paul's blog. Paul is also one of the admins over on our OSCP study group. What about programming, scripting, and code analysis from Kenneth? I'm worried about web app testing and buffer overflows. Web app coding. As far as coding goes for this exam, you really don't need to be any coding genius. If you can understand basic Python of how it works, you should be good to go. I would maybe even add in there, if you can just understand reading exploits in general, you should be good to go. What I've noticed there in the past is in the exam, you can only use Metasploit at one time. We all know that, right? You can only use the automated portions of Metasploit at one time. But there's Metasploit code that's very simple. And like, I don't even know why people put a Metasploit module out there for these exploits. These exploits are so simple to do manually that it's kind of ridiculous that they wasted time to create a Metasploit module. But however, you can easily read those Metasploit modules and say, okay, so this Metasploit module is uploading to this URL. So if I basically go to that URL in my browser, I should be able to do the same thing myself. So if you're able to at least basically able to read some code, you should be able to get through with no problem. Python is definitely very helpful. As you go through the course material, you're going to get to do some Python programming, Kenneth. Scripting as well, you're going to get to do that as you go through the course material as far as enumeration using bash scripts and Python. Python's the way to go. There are some free Udemy classes and Cyber classes on Python programming. Also, Christy Vlad, another member over on the OSCP study group, he just released I believe it's a Udemy class on Python for security tests or something like that. I don't remember the exact name. Unfortunately, I don't know if he's on here right now. Christy, if you are on right now, just post your URL and I'll prove it to get posted out to everyone. It's a free class. I think it's like a 30-40 minute long class, but he goes through how to create security tools using Python. Awesome material. Let's see here. There was a lot of talk about people taking the exams for others. Yes. Talking about that, taking exams for others, I hate cheaters. Do yourself a favor. If you're in this group or if you're here to study for the OSCP, study for the OSCP. If you message me for answers, I'm going to report you. I'm sorry, I hate to be the narc, but you know how many people a day I get emailing me for answers to exams? How many direct messages I get? I had one guy with the nerve one night on Facebook message me, and he's like, hey, I'm working on this buffer overflow, and I'm running into this problem. I was trying to figure this out, and it's this, that, the other thing. He posted where he was having a problem with the buffer overflow with the bad characters, and I was like, wow, this looks really familiar from somewhere. And sure enough, he was taking the exam at the time. I had the exact same buffer overflow question with the exact same information. And I was like, oh, dude. And I was like, dude, are you seriously taking the exam right now? And he's like, yes. I was like, I am not helping you. I was like, you're going to get reported for this. So save yourself the headache. Don't cheat. It's not worth it. Fail with honor. Can you share some tutorials on buffer overflows? Yes. Tutorials on buffer overflows. There are some great ones out there. Georgia Weidman's book has one in it. BrainPan Dark Level. Go over VulnHub. Download BrainPan from VulnHub. The first version of BrainPan has great buffer overflow in it. Follows the course material almost identical. Check out my video on BrainPan. Let's see if I can find that real fast as I'm talking to you guys. This is where it'd be cool to have a moderator that can actually post stuff as I'm chatting. But if I go over to videos, let me grab this for you. BrainPan. Where is BrainPan? There we go. Video 2, video 3. Let's copy this one. Copy link address. So Dark Level, if you check out this video or anyone else interested in buffer overflows, that should be helpful for you. I really explain it in very simplistic terms for you. Mythic, hello, how you doing? Let's see, any other questions from you guys? I think I covered all the ones that are out here. Any comparison between ECSA practical versus OSCP? I do not know what ECSA is. Is that the e-console? Let's see here. What does Google say ECSA is? E-console Certified Security Analyst. I'm going to say, let's click on this and read what security analyst is. The term security analyst to me does not really mean penetration testing. Unfortunately, ECSA does say it is for penetration testing, which is very interesting. Let's see here. Brochure, blueprint policies, exam FAQ, eligibility. About the program. Think you're ready. Take your assessment. Let's take the assessment. See what's out here on their assessment. Oh, screw that. I am not going to give them all my personal information to take an assessment. Sorry. Yes. Unfortunately, I'm not going to sign up with the ECSA to really tell you what this is. Can you leave this video hosted? Yes, Mythic, I will actually leave this video up and post it today. If anyone saw live videos early today, I apologize. I was just trying to get the settings working, so I deleted all those earlier. Privilege escalation on Windows has been my biggest roadblock so far. Amen, brother. That is one of the hardest things out there. For privilege escalation on Windows, one of my favorite tools, actually, I guess it's a two-part tool, is check out Powerless.bat. Powerless.bat. It is a batch file, like a old school scripting language. Basically, it was created where if you didn't have PowerShell, it would basically run and do everything PowerShell would do for you, and then basically give you a report. Now, output of the report, you can then feed into Windows Exploit Suggester, and then basically it'll tell you all the possible exploit paths for Windows. If you want to add some extra value to the Powerless.bat, download the old access check, and you'll actually read about that in your course material as well. The old one basically allowed you to run the -y flag to accept. The newer one does not work, so you need to go back and find an older copy of that. And maybe what I'll do for that is I'll host a copy on my blog site, and I'll post it in this link once I'm done here, and have it out there. Other tools I've used for Windows exploits is JAWS Enumeration. It's a PowerShell script. Gives great information for that. Some of the coolest things I've seen so far for Windows exploitation, privilege escalation for Windows. The last couple boxes I've done, it screamed like own me. Like it was right there in front of you and you knew what it was because it wasn't something commonly found in Windows. Makes sense in Windows privilege escalation tutorials. Yes, for privilege escalation tutorials, check out Fuzzy, what is his website? I'm going to paste the link 1 second. Fuzzy Windows, Privex. Copy. For those who are looking for Windows exploitation, great tutorial on his page. Personally, RTFM is another great resource. Oh, actually, talk about RTFM. Let's see if I can remember the link now. And I apologize. I've been drinking a little whiskey, so I'm trying to remember the links. All right, I'll have to remember what this other one's called. So there's a binary site out there. If anyone knows what I'm talking about, there's a binary Linux site out there for static pseudo binaries that are common passive exploitation and privilege escalation. There's a site out there that basically gives you all the commands to run to do that. And I'll find that and post that into this video as well. Let's see here. For the whiskey, it is a Japanese Nika coffee grain. For anyone, I saw someone post that in my Twitter. Ken, are you familiar with the Hacker Playbook version 3 and Hack Like a Legend book? I am familiar with the Hacker Playbooks. I have a bunch of them. And actually, I took a class from them at Black Hat. Great books. They cram a lot of information into the class at Black Hat. It was a 3-day class, and great information around using Burp as well as other tools for that from the Hacker Playbooks. Definitely worth them. And actually, I have all 3 books now. If you guys haven't heard of the site, Humble Bundle, they do like e-books that you can basically set a price on, and they basically give you the books. They do deals different times of years. Probably take a full bottle after my exam. Actually, I'll tell you, when I knew I had enough points to pass my exam, I actually became teary-eyed. I asked the moderator if I can call my wife and tell her. As I said, this test has a lot of meaning to us in our family because how much time it's taken to get through. So yeah, after that, there was definitely a lot of celebration. Let's see here. And any advice penetration testing from Will Alsop? And advanced penetration from Will also. I'm not sure what you mean by that one. RTFM. PowerShell exercises, yes. All right. Let's see here. Paul wrote GXPen OCP hands down. Definitely 2 of the hardest certifications out there. I would definitely say that. I definitely, once I'm done with the GXPen, I'm going to take a few months off from certifications and studying. I kind of want to just like veg out and not really do anything. Maybe do some more research, get some more information out there on my YouTube videos, get back into the technical side of the house. Something I haven't really been able to do because I'm constantly studying lately. Once that's done, I would like to be able to possibly look at doing probably the OSCE or the new advanced web one. Now, I have a little caveat with the web one. It's a little costly for what you get. You get 30 days for like $1,400, something like that. To me, that's a little much when the OCP is like $1,200 for 90. So we'll have to see. Let's see here. Tyler, although not specifically OCP, pen testing related, Humble Bundle has a book bundle. Cryptocurrencies and blockchain around. Yes. Yeah, Tyler, if you do have a link to that, if you want to post that in there, you can. I don't care. No affiliate link. Yeah. Yeah, any affiliate links should come from me, right? Balancing life and study time, definitely. Jared, that is a challenge. I'll tell you, the first time around, I think my wife wanted to shoot me. Thankfully, she didn't. I try to be very, I try to watch my time as best as I can, right? Knowing that I have to work, knowing I need to spend time with the family and the kids. First time through, I tried to do most of my studying late at night, which kind of made me a little bit of a miserable person in the morning. And then during the day, I would lay in the living room on the floor, let the kids jump all around me as I tried to study. This time around, thankfully, with my current job, I was able to do a lot of studying during the day, which was very helpful. Made things go much smoother with the family. I would say make sure that you're taking time out of your studying and just doing stuff with the family. Put the computer down, walk away from the labs, and then do that. It's definitely a hard balance to do. I would say out of my 90 days, this time around, I probably wasted, I would say, a good 20 days just spending time with the family and doing family stuff and not worrying about the exam. All right. Any other questions you guys have? Some pretty good ones out there. Nice. I have that one too. Yep. I think. Okay. Besides the restrictions on Metasploit framework and tools such as PowerShell, Empire, Armitage, or Armitage, OpenVAS, and so on can be used on exam. No. So the exam does not explicitly define what tools are and are not allowed, and they do it on purpose. I think it's kind of crap, but it basically allows them to be covered for any new changes in tools that come out. And that's probably why they do it such a way. Any tool that will automate the detection of a vulnerability or exploit a vulnerability is not allowed. So, Metasploit, we know, can automate and detect vulnerabilities. OpenVAS automates the detection of vulnerabilities. Empire, to me, Empire is not really a tool for the pen tester. It's more like a red teaming tool. But same concept of Empire and Armitage. They are tools out there that will automate the attack vector or the discovery of a vulnerability. Yes, Sparta can be used, so can Auto Recon currently. And I think as more and more people start going over to Auto Recon or Sparta, I bet you eventually they'll probably add something into the clause. So make sure you guys are constantly checking the updates. They don't always make the updates public, knowing that like you should constantly be checking. So leading up to my exam, every single day for like a week, I went out there to their exam site and checked to see if anything else changed. The first time I went through it, they basically changed the receiving of 10 points, like 2 days before I was taking my exam. So I couldn't get the 10 points for doing the labs and exercises. Now it's only 5 points. Someone just posted something else. I've been having a lot of fun with PowerShell lately. Regards to offensive related security, red team stuff, yes. A lot of cool stuff with PowerShell. Problem with PowerShell is a lot of blue team members now are getting wise to us. They know what to look for in their PowerShell. So I read a good article. I know I can't share too much from this about what this kid has done because he uses it in his daily testing. But one thing I would say to do is research out of date or archaic or old school compilers or obfuscation, and basically find ways to change your PowerShell that no one has seen in a long time, or if at all, to try to get through some of these detection mechanisms nowadays. The new Cobalt Strike has a cool built-in functionality for your PowerShell. It just came out maybe a month ago. Definitely check that out. What would you recommend be the next step after the OCP? Justin, it really depends where you want to be. The OCP, people say it's an entry-level certification. And when they say that, it's the entry-level certification in the sense of penetration testing or advanced penetration testing, I really should say. It's not like you're going out and it's like Security Plus or anything like that. It's a entry level to get to show that you have the skills to be doing that job. Now, if you only want to be doing penetration testing, then that might be all you need. If you want to be doing red teaming, if you want to be doing network testing or exploit research and development, coming up with your own 0 days. That will really depend where you want to go next. So you can look at things like the GX Pen. You can look at things like the OSCE, the new the web class that the OSCP is offering as possible next steps. Things I would not look at if you have the OSCP, I would not be looking at the G Pen because you already have more skills than what the G Pen would give you. I would not be doing CEH because that's kind of a joke. No offense to anyone that has the CEH out there. We had tons of arguments on our Facebook page about this. Anyone that has it, great. It's a great entry-level certification to at least get your foot in the door. HR people are looking for those keywords. Don't feel bad, Tyler. I had the CH for a brief moment. I just never renewed it. Let's see here. Can I download repos from GitHub and exploits if needed? Yes. You can download whatever you want, exploits. Actually, to be honest, on this version of my exam, I used more exploits found on GitHub than I did on ExploitDB. ExploitDB just didn't have stuff, but digging on GitHub, I found a lot of stuff. So yes, you can download stuff from there. Can you use Sparta on the exam? Yes, currently you can use Sparta on the exam. Now, asking me if you can use a tool in the exam, right? I don't work for OSCP or offensive security. So I'm just telling you from what I've done and what I know has worked. Make sure you check before you go ahead and do that. Paul, plan to migrate my career after passing exam, but this particular market is not so good in my country. Any advice on searching for pen test jobs, remote positions? Yes, Paul. Depending where you are, what country you're in, I don't even want to try to guess based on your name because I don't want to offend anyone. But I'll give you a couple examples. One, I know a bunch of people from India who were trying to get into our field. And India is a very hot market right now because for us here in the U.S., we get a lot of labor costs at a cheaper price from the Indian market. What I would suggest doing if you were there in India is to look at getting in with a consulting firm. So like companies like Emphasis, TCS, Tata, all those people will outsource pen testers to other companies. As far as Brazil goes, I really don't know much about Brazil or the market in Brazil. I would open yourself up to possible relocation. Look at any remote postings for jobs, possibly consulting for a little bit just to get your feet wet and your name out there so you have some experience on your resume. As far as resumes go, if you have a link to your resume and you want me to look at it, send it to me in an email or a direct DM. I may not get back to you right away, but if you want me to take a look at your resume, feel free to do that. And if you do send me your resume, please have it in English because I don't speak any other languages. I used to be able to speak Spanish. I really can't speak anymore. What do you know about the new offensive security cert, offensive security? I just know it's costly. I know it's something that's on my boss's radar for me to look at taking next year. But at $1,400, it's for 30 days. It's a little questionable where I may go with that right now. So I'll have to see. Let's see here. Nirja. Tata is TCS. Yes. They changed the name a couple years back because of an incident. More to the south. Okay. Thank you. Is Sherlock script restricted? I don't know what Sherlock is. Want to tell me? I can try to Google it real fast. Sherlock episode. Oh, crap. I'm not find that. Sherlock script pen testing. Let's see if that comes back with anything better. Sherlock. Is that possible? looks like maybe a PowerShell script. Is available online. The OSWE is now available online. If you had a choice after OSCP, GXPen, SEC 760, other training cert, I can tell you, don't even try SEC 760 if you can't get past the GXPen or the OSCE. From what I've been told about the 760, just from experience as well with the 760, is if you don't have great experience, like if you can't talk buffer overflows and ASCII code in your sleep, the 760 is not for you. What I've been told by many SANS instructors is what happens with the 760 is people sign up for the 760, they're clearly not ready for the 760, they end up downgrading the class to the GXPen for that class, and they bring them through that. You really need that GXPen as your baseline, unless you maybe have the OCE and a lot of experience with buffer overflow development. Let's see here. And what other certifications would mention that? Other trainings and certs. Other trainings that I have done that I found very helpful. I've done, they don't exist anymore. They merged with another company. Advanced Threat Detection, or the Varus group. They used to run a class of Black Hat for red teaming. Very great class. The one thing about red teaming that was really hard to grasp for me at first was coming from the pen test side. Pen testers are noisy. We make a lot of noise. We throw up flags everywhere. Red teamers, they're quiet. They go undetected as long as possible, and they're not really using a lot of automated tools. Varus Group joined up with the maker of Cobalt Strike, Ralph, Mudge, and they created a new company, and for some reason it's escaping my mind right now. I don't know why I can't think of it, so I apologize for that. Other certs I've done the GAC, the GCIH. I thought about doing the GPen. I have the books under my desk in case I decide I want to do that. I did the GMOB. If you're into mobile security testing, that was a very good class. But once you're at the level of the OCP, it's really deciding where you want to go and specialize your time. If you want to specialize red teaming, you need to look for those red teaming certifications. If you want to get into your research, development, and exploitation, then look at GXPen, the SEC 760 classes like that. The other thing I was just doing too, and there's not a lot of great classes out there about this yet. So if anyone knows of one, let me know. I would love to check it out. Anything on IoT, hands-on IoT testing and security. Really, basically, understanding how to hook up a JTAG to the motherboard or soldering those pins, tracing those wires, figure out where you're plugging your wires in and how to communicate with those channels to do exploitation. That is something that's huge in our industry right now. There's not too many training opportunities on that currently. See here, Sherlock for PowerShell. If Sherlock is automated vulnerability detection or exploitation, I would say probably not, but I am not sure. Yeah, Paul posted the link over to our Facebook group, the OSCP study group over on Facebook. Here's a word of wisdom for that. If you cannot read directions and you cannot answer the 3 simple questions, make sure you use Google if you need to. Yes, strategic cyber, right? Yep, that sounds right. If you can't use Google to answer the questions, if you don't know them, don't try to join the group because we're going to decline you. I apologize. We have a success rate of approving people of like less than 1% a day because people can't simply follow directions. Let's see here. I just heard something else cool. Have you looked into Landmaster 51? Landmaster has awesome articles. I love Landmaster's article on netcatting without netcat. I use that a lot on the OSCP stuff. He has a lot of other great articles out there as well. Highly recommended. Anything else you guys got? All right. Well, if you guys don't have any other questions, we're at the top of the hour right now. I will plan to do another live if you guys find this interesting. Please make sure you guys comment, give this a thumbs up. If you guys are new here to my YouTube channel, make sure you guys subscribe. Any comments, likes, subscribers greatly helps grow the channel. I do this for two reasons. One, I love sharing back my knowledge. I love having an outlet to share my knowledge. But seeing the likes, all you guys on the channel right now, being very active in the chat, that's motivation for me to keep doing these videos and keep moving forward on this. YouTube does not pay us really anything. I think I made 3 cents in the last like 60 days off YouTube. So it's not really for the money. It's more just to really get out there and share my knowledge with everyone. So make sure you like this video. Share out my link to people so others can find this information if that helps them. Let me know what other topics you guys want to hear about. I know I still owe you some other topics on some of the stuff in my red teaming bag. I still have this cool little device here that I want to do a write-up on. This little device here actually got us into our CIO's email. So it's a nice little device I have here I want to do a talk on. Please keep doing videos. Yep. So yeah, I definitely plan to keep doing videos. I definitely want to get back to more technical videos for you guys too. Bear with me as I get through my GXPen stuff. Hopefully I'll get some videos up there about GXPen and buffer overflows for you guys shortly. I do take my exam June 14th. After that, I should have free time in the sense that I'm not studying for anything anymore, so I can start getting more technical back into Hack the Box, Roll Hub, things like that for you guys. But if there's a topic you guys really want to hear about, let me know. Post a comment, and worst I could say is no. Like, if I have no interest in it, then I'm not going to do it. But for all you know, maybe I already done it. Maybe I have information I can share with you guys, and that'd be of something that you guys want to see. All right, guys. With that, I'm going to kill off the feed. Everyone have a great night. Thanks for coming, and I'll talk to you guys next time.